Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Kaylania, the Blessed Driver here on my way back home. Okay, so, all right. So the title of this blog is Instacart has been taking tips, and I have proof today. Now I saw, so upset. Okay, so this is what happened. Now, before when Instacart had gotten sued earlier in the year, it was because they were trying to prevent customers from giving us tips and among other things. So I'm just going to leave that back there, and I'm going to basically state what happened to me the past week. Last week, I think it was last week or the week before, I had delivered to a customer. Now, this was not her first order, but she was kind of new to the Instacart. I think it was like her second order, I think, but it was my first time delivering to her. And so it was a rather large batch that I got, and so I delivered to her, and after I was done, because she was really nice, we were laughing, we were cracking jokes and everything, and she asked me, she said, I just wanted to let you know that I already tipped on the app, because I've actually seen customers tip ahead of time, like there's, I don't know how they do it, but even before you close a batch out or close out an order, sometimes a customer is able to actually pre-tip you, where they can specify an amount that they want to give you even before you close out the order, right? Because I've actually seen it done, and it's happened quite a few times. And so, excuse me. And so she said that she already pre-tipped me, and so she asked me, she said, "Ma'am, so like when I tip you, that goes to you, right?" I said, "Yeah, better." I said, "Of course." And she goes, "Okay." And she said, "Well, because I had already put in the tip amount because I didn't want to pay the service fee." And so she said, "Well, I had tipped you $35." I said, "Okay, cool." And so she goes, I just want to make sure that you're going to get that, because I didn't see anything on my screen. And so I said, "Oh, it's cool. I'm sure I'll get it." And then I said, I probably won't see anything until like maybe a few hours from now on how much the tip is. And she goes, "Okay," because, and she told me she was going out of town for like a week or something like that. And so that's the reason why she bought so many groceries. And so she wanted to tip me, which was really nice of her to do, and things of that nature. So anyway, after a couple hours, I noticed that I did not get the tip. I didn't see the tip on there. Now, of course, $35 is a pretty chunk of change, so I'm like, that's nice, because I frequently get pretty large tips. And so, like, I didn't see a tip. The next day, I didn't see a tip. Now, when my earnings closed out over the weekend, I still didn't see that $35 tip. So I'm thinking, okay, did she make that up? Was she lying? But I knew the lady was telling me the truth, because she was too detailed about it. Now, sometimes you may get customers that may say, "I'll tip you on the app," and they don't do it. That happens a lot. But I know when I can tell when people are telling the truth. At least most of the time. So and like, who's gonna say I tipped you $35 and don't leave any money? You know what I mean? And so anyway, that $35 never showed up. A couple days later, I think it was on Saturday or Sunday, I worked a shift, and I actually worked for this not work for this lady, but there's a lady that I frequently deliver to. She's a really sweet lady, really nice. And after I had delivered her groceries, she said, "Just to let you know, I had tipped on the app." I said, "Okay, cool, no problem." And she goes, "I just want to make sure that you get it." I said, "Okay, cool, thank you so much, I appreciate that." When my earnings closed out on this past Sunday, I didn't see a tip. And at first, I was a little disappointed. I was like, okay, because like she's tipped me before, but this time it didn't show up. And I know, like, if she's telling me the truth, so I'm thinking, okay, maybe she's having a bad day, maybe she didn't want to do it. I never saw the tip. So guess what? I just got a batch from the same lady, the one that, not the $35 one, but the one I just told you about that said that she tipped me. And I went to her apartment, and so once I gave her groceries, because I was still thinking about what happened in the back of my mind when she said she tipped me, but I never got it. And so normally, normally her orders are pretty small, and so usually she'll tip me between like $5 and $10 or so, right? And so as I gave her her last bag, she said, "Excuse me, do you mind if I ask you something?" I said, "Sure." Now this just happened like 10 minutes ago. I said, "Sure." And she said, "Well, I hope you don't mind me asking, but last week when you came to deliver my groceries, did you get that tip that I sent?" I said, "No, ma'am." And she goes, "You didn't?" I said, "No." I just was trying to be courteous. I said, "No, it's okay." They go, No. She said, "I tipped you and you didn't get the money that I sent?" I said, "No, ma'am, I didn't." She goes, "Are you serious?" She said, "I tipped you, and then she said, I was wondering why it wasn't showing up in the app." And she's like, well, where did the money go? I was like, well, I'm not sure, ma'am. But I said, I have had this problem a lot with Instacart where tips aren't showing up. And I said, I'm not the only one. And she goes, well, how about this? Because in the area that I was in, there's it's hard to get reception there. And it's a very nice area, very upscale area, but the reception there is very bad. And so she took out her cell phone. And I said, sometimes some customers pre-tip, and I said, or some of them tip after I close out the order. And so she goes, okay. And she goes, how about this? Go ahead and I'll close out the order, and then I will tip you right now. And so I said, okay. And so I closed out the order. And so she got a little pop-up. And her and I are standing with each other, and I'm looking at her phone, and she said, well, show me to make sure that I'm doing this right. And she pressed the button to dismiss the service fee, so she wouldn't have to pay for the service fee. I'm standing here, guys, 10 minutes ago. I'm sitting watching this. All of a sudden, it disappeared to where, and so she wanted to leave a tip. The screen disappeared. Hey, Glenda just said that's messed up. So the screen disappears, and then she's like, wait a minute, now you just saw that, right? I was like, yes, ma'am. So when she wanted to send me a tip, y'all, the screen just disappeared all of a sudden. And it wasn't because there's no little reception, because I guess because of my cell phone provider, it might not be like the best in that particular area, but she was able to get pretty decent reception, I guess, or whatever. And so she's like, this is not right. She's like, you know what? I don't want you thinking that that's the kind of person that I am, because I'll always make sure that I tip people. And I said, yes, ma'am, I understand. You know, I've delivered to you before, and like I believe you. And she goes, so are you saying that sometimes you guys are being tipped and you guys don't get it? I said, yes, ma'am, that is correct. And so I said, unfortunately, yes, Instacart may keep the tips. I said, I don't know where the money's going. I said, but there has been other people that have encountered the same situation. And I said, you know, there was a legal issue before with Instacart, and about the same issue about the tipping, and I don't know what's going on. I said, but ma'am, I apologize about that. I said, it's okay, it's no big deal. No. She goes, I decide. She goes, and she asked me about the grocery store that we shopped at. She goes, if I call them and talk to them about, this, can they fix it? Somebody just said, Sherry just said, yes, a couple of customers asked me, do we actually get the tips, so they are aware. Exactly. And so I said, well, unfortunately, ma'am, the grocery stores have nothing to do with Instacart itself. We're only just a partner with them. I said, because they agreed to partner with Instacart, and I said they have nothing to do with the shoppers or the tipping or anything. I said, you have to contact Instacart. You have to call them. She goes, okay, so if I call them, they will fix it? I said, yes, ma'am, they should. And they should be able to add the tip on there. And she goes, okay, so just to let you know, like, you just saw that, because her and I were both looking at her cell phone when she tried to add the tip, and she couldn't do it, because once she decided to dismiss the service fee, the whole screen just disappeared and went back to her shopping cart was empty. That's not a glitch, y'all. I'm trying to tell you, because she was trying to tip me. And somebody just said, thanks for the info. I'm in the process of working for Instacart. I'll keep my eyes open. Yes, absolutely. You're welcome. God bless you. And so somebody said, hello, I enjoy your videos. I live in Florida also. This is what I would call corporate greed. Exactly. I know, right? And so, you guys, at first, I used to think that customers would be lying to me when they said that they would tip. Now, sometimes they do. Sometimes they do, like, not tell the truth. But that's not my place to judge or to worry about. If people do it, great. If they don't, okay, whatever. But I'm telling y'all, like, when people tell me about specific amounts that they leave and it's not there, and I was just at that lady's apartment. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you. I appreciate that. And so, and then all of a sudden, like, my tips aren't there. 305. All right, now, MIA. Miami. And so, my tip wasn't there. And so, like, I guess because this is, like, beyond me, y'all. I'm standing there at the lady's apartment, and she has her phone out showing me that she's trying to tip me. And then when she, tries to, 954. All right. So sorry, guys. Everybody's putting out their digits. You got 305, 954. I'm in 407, so we straight over here, but y'all hot down there. Anyway, so yeah, y'all, I'm just like figuring out, like, what in the world do I do? Because, like, you know, Instacart kept the tip. They kept my money. And I don't care if it's $3. I don't care if it's $5. I don't care if it's 10. Like, I don't care the amount. The fact that that belongs to me and that's mine. And I'm sitting there looking at the lady trying to put in a tip. And this lady was 38 hot. She was like, oh my gosh. She goes, I'm going to call these people. She goes, that's not fair. Because, and also think about the integrity of the customer. Like, they would be concerned about us delivering to them, because they're like, wait a minute. I told this person that I'm going to deliver them a tip. And like, even if they didn't tell us that they're going to leave us a tip, but they try to, you know, at least make contact or try to make a tip, you know, they can't. They're going to probably think that somebody says, how can this be corrected? I'm not even sure, but you know, but they're going to probably think that we're thinking like they're liars, you know. And of course these people are telling the truth, y'all. Like, and I'm not bragging or anything, I'm not, but I just want you guys to know, like, I get various amount of tips. And the area that I'm in and some of the places that I go to, you know, these are pretty well off people. You know, I'm talking about like upper middle class, between middle class to like very wealthy people. And I find sometimes that people, sometimes just because a person is wealthy doesn't always mean that, you know, they have money to spend, or like they want to spend their money. But sometimes I find that people that are middle class give me nice tips. But it's besides the fact of what people make and how much money that they have. I guess for me, I was very disappointed, because I thought the lady wasn't telling me the truth. Like, seriously, like, I thought she was just making that up. But like, when I saw from my own eyes, y'all, that she went in there, she took the phone out, she showed me, and we were watching together. When she clicked on the little link to dismiss the service fee, and she was getting ready to leave me a tip, it disappeared. So that's how I believe that, I'm telling y'all, I believe that some of us have been getting tips, we don't know it. I had delivered to a wealthy family about a month and a half ago. And there's a situation that happened where she didn't know that I was there or something, and get a lawyer. I'm actually working on that. Somebody said I had a customer tell me she was going to tip me. She has in the past, but didn't see it yet. See what I'm talking about? And so, and it's like, okay. So anyway, back to the story. She left me a $70 tip. And that was probably like one of the largest tips I ever had. $70, not 17, not 7, but $70. And the second time I went back to her house, it was a very large order. And it was like a $500 some order. I never got a tip. Now, she could have not tipped me, you know, but I'm not going to assume that I know or I don't know, because I don't. So if she didn't tip, that's not my problem. But when I came back the third time, I got a tip. And the tip wasn't as large as a normal one. So, I mean, I can't say. But regardless, I've been noticing that when people tell me that they've tipped and I don't see it, either one, the customer's not telling the truth, or two, we're not getting our tips. So somebody's lying. You feel what I'm saying? And so, but the fact that I was at this lady's house, she came, I said nothing about it. She approached me and said, hey, did you get my tip from last week? I never got it. And she tried to leave a tip again. Now, this lady's pissed. Now, this is a customer. You know, I said nothing about it. So she said that she's going to call Instacart and straighten this out. And she goes, you know what, ma'am, I love the service. I love Instacart, but I just don't like the way that they do y'all. She goes, that's not right. That's not right. And she was mad. And so somebody just said, hey, I got the quality bonus 2 weeks in a row. That helps. Okay. So like, anyway, I'm just like mad. I'm just a little disappointed, because now I'm seeing what I'm dealing with the company. And I refuse to sit up here and believe that when customers tip us, we're getting all of our tips. Because like I said before, y'all, Instacart got sued before about the same exact thing. So I know some shoppers would not want to believe that Instacart would do something like that. But I believe that they would, because there's no way of us tracking if somebody did send us a tip, because we wouldn't know. Somebody said they're trying to keep all the money in their pockets and workers like slaves. Of course. And the only way to really get out of this type of business is to start your own or to work for somebody else. But at the end of the day, I believe that they're going to get caught. And so I have no proof to even send Instacart, just by, I will probably send them a message. I think that I'm going to send them a message and let them know what the customer said. So that way that they can be aware of what's going on. Because I have had customers, actually tell me that they were upset because they actually will leave a tip or leave or whatever, and all of a sudden they didn't see it. And think about it. If the customer's taking money out their pocket and giving it to us, can you imagine like how they feel? I mean, that's almost like stealing. Sorry, I had a text message. I mean, it's almost like stealing. You see what I'm saying? So whatever they choose to use their money on, that's their discretion. Like, Instacart has no right to keep that. And so, but anyway, guys, I'm not going to keep going on about this. I mean, and honestly, I'm not going to stress out about it. I'm just trying to figure out what to do at this point, because I seen it with my own eyes. I had the proof, and the customer showed me. And I have even been at customers' houses where I seen them put the little thing on the app, put the tip never showed up. And to me, that's not a glitch. It says they know what was going on, and they see that you're aware of it. I don't know. Like, I'm just careful about what I'm saying on these vlogs, because I do believe that there are probably some people that work for Instacart, or maybe like, corporate, or maybe, some shift leads or whatever that's watching these. And so you just never know who's going to go back and report what. But I do know, Johnny says, remember, corporate knows everything. They're just trying to find a way to cut back, put more in their pockets. Of course, absolutely. And so, like if I'm going to pursue legal action, I'm not going to say anything on here. Am I looking to an attorney? Maybe. But I think that there has to be proof to show that somebody, like the customer, is leaving a tip or just whatever, and like, who's to say, like, they're not finagling our ratings, like, but at the same time, I'm not going to be paranoid. Somebody says keep track, get a lawyer, and keep everything documented. Of course. But I'm just talking about from a customer standpoint. Can you imagine how they feel? Like, think about that. I mean, they're probably thinking that, we're probably thinking like they're cheap. And when they're actually trying to help us out, when they're actually tipping us, and like our money isn't showing up. And that bothers me a lot. So I don't see how they can get away with that legally. I don't. Derek just said I get tips late too. I do too. And I'm sure, like, for those of you guys who get tips late, you'll see at the bottom it says delayed earnings. Now sometimes people tip when they want to. Now that happens, like say, like, if a person orders something and they don't go back in there and tip right away, that could happen too sometimes, where they decide to tip when they want to. Like, I totally understand that. But like I said, y'all, I just seen it with my own eyes. The customer just said it. Somebody said I almost signed up for Instacart, but they were never in my area. Somebody said, I feel they are tweaking our ratings. I just don't have solid proof yet. Yeah, KN, I agree with you. I believe that, because, like, I just don't know how they can do that. But I said in my previous videos that I'm going to show you guys how people start their own grocery delivery company. Now, this isn't something that I want to do, like, and the money would be good, but of course you need capital to start something like that, unless you have a way to rent. But that's going to be on a separate vlog, and I hope you guys just bear with me, because the only reason why I have not done that yet, because, for one, the time, and two, I want to make sure that I do the video in excellence, like, I have all the information for you guys, which I do, just gotta have time to do it. And second of all, but third of all, I had somebody to send me a message on somebody contacted me on Facebook. They didn't send me an email to the info@theblesseddriver.com. Somebody found me on Facebook, and I kid you not, this pissed me off. Somebody sent me a message on Facebook. So I never met this person. I don't know who this person was. And said, hey, aren't you the Blessed Driver? I said, yes, I am. And she was like, she was like, well, I seen your vlogs, and you said that you're going to make a video on how to start your own grocery delivery company. And I said, yes, that's correct. And she goes, well, can you please send me that information? Now this person saw my vlogs and was asking me to send her their information right away. And I'm looking at her like, I'm like looking at my phone like, is she for real? And so instead of being patient and waiting, she wanted me to give her the information like right then. So miss me with that. I'm not even going to get into that right now, because some people are very bold. And so whatever, who cares? So anyway, y'all, that's what's happening. Tips are missing. And so right now I am going to send Instacart an email, and I'm going to call them, because any calls that I make, because I have an app on my phone, any calls that I make to whoever, I don't care if I'm checking my voicemail, I don't care if I'm calling, talking to my son, any calls that I make, they're recorded. I have an app where I record every single phone call, because especially even now, I'm dealing with issues with my landlord, who doesn't want to fix stuff in my apartment. Like, I record everything, whether they know it or not. That's just me. And so I believe in covering yourself. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just going to make sure that if this does go to court, I'm going to make sure I have all the proof of everything. You know what I'm saying? And so I just want you guys to be aware, if a customer says that they gave you a tip, document that. Somebody says, I just wished I would have taken a screenshot of my earnings on Sunday. I have a $28 tip that's missing. Yeah, so like the person just said now, if anything is missing, y'all, like if you just know it. At the same time, don't always take a customer at their word, because they can lie. They can say that just to make you feel good, but you know, some people just don't want to admit that they didn't tip you. Don't make a big deal about that if they say that they did. But if they give you specific amounts, or if you've seen a tip there before and all of a sudden the tip is gone, there have been customers that have disputed tips. I kid you not. I mean, not for me, but I've heard it from other shoppers where customers say, hey, you know what? I don't want a tip, so can I get my money back? Stuff like that. So, yeah, y'all, this is like beyond me. I'm very disappointed. And so like right about now, I'm just gonna wait it out. Just do my due diligence and just keep it moving. This is not something I'm going to be sitting there bite my nose over, you know, because, you know, when you stress out, you don't think properly. And when you don't think properly, you make poor choices and you react out of your emotions instead of going about things the mature way. Like I just believe in doing things in wisdom, you know, because I've made poor choices in my life and sometimes I still do, you know, and I don't want to just jump out there and just do something wrong just because I'm upset. You know, I just believe in gathering facts, and once I have the facts, then I can just get it straightened out. And so, like I said before in my previous videos, this is not something I'll be doing that I'll be doing forever. But because this is my job and it's because this is my income, this is an issue for me. And so, y'all holding my money, we got problems. And so, anyway, y'all, if you guys do believe that Instacart is withholding your tips, or if you believe that there are funds that are missing and you know it, shoot me an email. Excuse me. My contact information is at the bottom. Email me to info@theblesseddriver.com. That's the only email that I use for these vlogs and stuff like that. So if you guys have any questions or anything, excuse me, just let me know. If you feel like that something is amiss, let me know. Also, I have a group, a Facebook group. It's called Instacart Shoppers United. You're more than welcome to join. Just make sure that you answer all the questions that are in the box, and hopefully we can just help each other out. All right. Thank you, Derek. Thank you, YF. Thank you, Johnny. God bless y'all. Peace.